Hello and welcome to Florida Basketball Hour. I am Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. On this episode, my guy Max Barr, Southeastern 16, is going to join. We're going to talk about the SEC tournament a little bit. On the back end of this interview, pre-recorded, once we drop this as like a full podcast, you'll hear our recap of Florida's win at Rupp Arena on Saturday. Obviously, the Gators complete the season sweep of the Kitty Cats, 84-77. Florida was pretty good for 30 minutes in that game, and then played probably their worst 10 minutes of basketball in a month and a half. A lot of that was like credit Kentucky because I thought they were desperate. I thought they were more physical. I thought they really guarded, which the mystery to me in this Kentucky team, and I know like they don't have Cam Williams, and we can get into all these ailments with Max in our 20 to 25 minutes here in a minute, but like I still thought like without Cam Williams, they'd be able to guard better than they have. And like they guard great for 25 minutes a game. And then teams go on these like avalanche runs on them. and it's, I don't know. They're consistently inconsistent, I guess. The only consistent thing about Kentucky is how inconsistent they are. It totally wouldn't surprise me if they went to Nashville and won the tournament. I honestly think they could win 5 games in 5 days. I really do. I don't know if Cam Williams is going to play or not. You know, might be a saving for the NCAA tournament thing, but I think they can win a lot of games. Like the upper end talent there is still good, but they just. I guess it would surprise me if they won 5 games in 5 days, as I think about it, because they've never shown the ability to be that consistent for that extended a period of time. But anyway, yeah. So you guys know Max Barr. He is one of my favorite people in college basketball. He's at Max Barr on CBB. Him and Blake Lovell have my favorite probably show in the sport, especially now that Fanta is no longer on the DTF Field of 68 pod. They have slotted from the 2 to the 1 seed on my like go-to listens. But yeah, Max, man. What a year in the SEC. We were never going to like do what we did last year. We were never going to do that. But it's still a really damn good league.
It is. I did another SEC preview the other night, and we were just talking about compared to the Big 10, the Big 12, how good the middle of the SEC is, how tough these teams are to beat on a neutral floor. And teams that are playing well, that have positional size, you know, like a Missouri, a Texas, Oklahoma's shooting the lights out. Georgia is the number 1 3-point shooting team in the country over the last month of basketball. They're shooting like close to 50% from 3. So the thing about the SEC, yeah, you might not have the 2 seeds and 1 seeds and 3 seeds loaded up, but you go back a few and there's the whole league.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's and that's the thing. Like, you know, I've gone back and forth this. I just recorded a video that I'll drop on Florida Basketball or patreon.com/Florida BB Hour in a little bit, where I visit with some of the 7 to 10 seeds that I think could get to the second weekend. And I will admit that I think that list is narrower this year because I think the 1 seeds are all really, really, really good, and it's hard to see any of them losing in the round of 32. But like if Georgia's a 7 and they play a team that, you know, doesn't overwhelm them with size, Georgia has 4 playmaking guards, man. Like a lot of teams can defend for 24 seconds in March. Can you defend those last 6 seconds? And like when you got Smurf Billender and Blue Kane and all that, they got dudes, right? And then you mentioned Oklahoma, like if Oklahoma gets hot, Texas, like, you know, all those guys can score off the bounce. But there's a bunch of SEC teams that if they can avoid the 8-9 line, like I could see deeper runs. Do I expect, you know, of course I don't think the SEC is going to have 7 in the Sweet 16 and 4 in the Elite 8 again. But I think that the like notion that this league has had some sort of precipitous drop off is nonsense.
Yeah, no, it's nationally it's been well because, you know, to the casual viewer that's only watching, you know, like the 7 Eastern game on Big Monday or the, you know, the 9 Eastern game on Super Tuesday. It's been Houston at Arizona all year. You know, it's been Michigan at Michigan State all year. there hasn't been a lot of, like last year, the SEC had the 1-2 Alabama-Auburn game. You had all the big Florida games, Tennessee being top 15 in the country. So, like, to the casual college basketball enjoyer who's just, watching hoops on TV, well, after work, you're coming home, you're watching TV, probably haven't seen too much of the SEC this year.
Yeah, I think that's true. So we get Max Barr right as the AP, all the writers that voted. The AP All SEC teams have dropped.
Oh,
so Here we go. Let's just do this on the air. Okay, so the player of the year is Darius Acuff Jr. A word on that, like, in a second. I don't know with 100% certitude what the number on the coaches vote was, but I have a pretty darn good idea of it based on some chat I did. But Acuff sweeps by winning the AP. Yep. The freshman of the year, also Darius Acuff. The writers don't do a 6-man or defensive player, so that's only coaches. The newcomer of the year is a different than the coaches. Jacoby Gillespie wins. Dalen Swain, you will recall, had won. And then the first team is different. Our guy, Ruben Chenyelu, is first team All-SEC with the writers. And it is Acuff, Ruben, LeBaron Filan Jr., Tyler Tanner, no surprises there. And Mr. America, Tommy Houck, rounding out the first team. The second team, Nate Ament, Jacoby Gillespie, Josh Hubbard, Dalen Swain, and Alex Condon. So I will, before I go to your thoughts on this, I will say, I think we both had the same first team ballot. So it looks like basically like just Chenyelu and Condon got flipped on ours. And then the second team ballot, I was off by one. Mark Mitchell I had on my second team, and it looks like the Mass Riders had Nate Ament.
I think I had swapped Hubbard and Mark Mitchell. I had Hubbard third team.
Okay, that's fair. I had trouble with him, with Hubbard and Owe.
Yeah. There were a few, and then the Ruben Condon swap. Blake and I had been talking for the past few weeks, and just given the three-headed monster, the royal family there, as we call them, with Tommy H, with Kondo, and King Ruben there, one of them was just going to get the short end of the votes. You can't write three names down on the back, so
yeah.
It just naturally one of them was going to get pushed down a little bit. Do you have the stat of, I believe I referenced you one time. It's like Condon, the only other players in the country that are putting up the numbers of Condon at the height of his. It's some crazy exclusive company.
Yeah, it's why I voted for him for first team. And you have to round up on assists now. But I actually rounded up on that for one of the other players too. So in other words, 3.7 to 4.0. But
right.
So Condon is one of three players in the country averaging 14 points or more, 8 rebounds or more, and 4 assists or more in a game. The other two are Cam Boozer and Joshua Jefferson. That's it. That is the list. Shout out Zuby Ejiofor, who is 1 rebound from being in that club, but he's at 7.0 rebounds, so he is not. That kind of proves like how hard it is, right?
Yeah.
He's still, as good as Zuby is, he's still a rebound behind. There's a couple other guys who have the rebounds and have the assist or have the points, but don't have even JT Toppin was at 21 and 11, but he was at 1.5 assist.
Yeah.
Right. And I wish we had JT in March. We all do. But the point is it's incredible the consistency of Condon. And I think he had 2 kind of loud bad games that were on national TV. Like the opener against Arizona, everybody saw it, and I think it left a bad taste in people's mouth. And then the Auburn game, which came right as people shifted away from football, like you mentioned earlier. There's a big contingent. That was the first time they tuned into an SEC game all year, and there's Condon going for 1 point. Right? That guy's so Yeah, I don't have a problem. Like, and this is the thing that's been tough. And I appreciated you kind of getting on Twitter about this. Um, like, I don't have a problem with any of these guys being first or second team. Like, this is a great list.
Yeah.
This is such a hard exercise.
Yeah. The debate between Acuff and Tommy H for player of the year, it was kind of obvious that Darius Acuff would win the overall award, just because you would have to have everybody say no to Condon, no to Rubin in the Florida group, and every vote go to Tommy H. It's just unreasonable to expect that. So I fully expected Acuff to win the award, but my point of view was just kind of, okay, if you're going to take stats from Acuff's offense, his production, it's going to be just absolutely elite. It's going to be absolutely incredible. The eye test, absolutely incredible, an absolute dog. You look at Tommy H and everything that I didn't just mention, he's going to have the edge there. The rebounding, the defense, the versatility, the positional size, what that does for the rest of the team, being able to rim protect at the three, and just all of the high usage rate with the turnover rate that's pretty low still, even at his size. So it was like, either way, I thought you could go, you could find a reason why one player impacts more than the other player. But Neil, I kind of went with you're splitting hairs at the end of it. What philosophy, and it's hard to articulate over social media, but I kind of went with, if I'm in the Final Four, I'm in the championship game, and it's a pickup game. I can choose any play. I got the first pick, and my pool of players is the SEC, and it's the championship game. I got to win the national championship. I need a player that's going to give my team the best advantage, the best chance to win. I'm picking Tommy H every single time. That's kind of how I decided it.
Yeah, well, so I think ours are similar. Like, I just decided who's the most complete player.
Yeah,
that impacts winning, right? And then none of that. And again, like, and I got barbecued by Arkansas fans.
They're passionate bunch.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, look, I'm glad you guys are so passionate. Your guy's incredible. He had an amazing season. I also asked John Calipari about Thomas Houck at a press conference, and he called him the best player in our league.
Yeah, I mean,
I know he also went up like 2 days later, maybe because his SID was like, can't say that, dude, and said that Acuff should win National Player of the Year. So yeah. I know our guy Cal wasn't the most consistent, but I mean, he said that in the middle of the press conference. So I was kind of like, hey, all right. Anyway, that was wild. So we've got, and I'm kind of on a time crunch. I've got about 12 minutes with Max here. So what are you looking at in Nashville? Like, what in your mind, like, what's your biggest non-Florida storyline? We could talk about the Gators, I'm sure, but like, what do you, hey man, I got to see this.
It's pretty much that Thursday, the second round day, if you don't get chaos in the first round. So with, Kentucky beats LSU, Texas beats Ole Miss, Oklahoma beats South Carolina, Mississippi State, Auburn, I feel like is, either team, I feel like Hubbard could go off. I probably will take Auburn in that game. But say you do get like the March Madness hopeful teams do move on, right? Auburn's on the bubble, they move on. Texas, they're on the bubble, they move on. Oklahoma, they're on the bubble, they move on. That second round Thursday becomes just like one of the most chaotic days I could think of in terms of the amount of teams that could be in with a win, be out with a loss, be in a very bad position with a loss or something like that. You would have Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, Georgia, A&M, Oklahoma, and pretty much every single one of those games has a bubble implication on it. It could be complete chaos on Thursday.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely think that's probably the day I'm like, normally my answer is quarterfinal Friday.
Right.
When like those of us like me or you that have day jobs are like, do I really want to do this afternoon? Or, did I just get a tickle in my throat? But now I'm kind of like, man, Thursday is just going to be must see from noon to midnight.
Yeah.
It's going to be, honestly, like, Missouri, Kentucky,
What a game.
is kind of like they're safe. Missouri spooks me a little bit just because the predictives aren't great. And, that I know the committee doesn't use last 10 anymore, which I think is good for Missouri right now because they haven't been playing awesome. And I feel like Missouri, we saw it against Florida. I know Florida wasn't playing awesome then, but they were about to be. And we saw Missouri has depth, so they can kind of wear on you. They're one of the few teams in the last 10 minutes of a game against Florida, they didn't just wilt. Mm-hmm. When Jaden hits shots, I don't know, that team has a lot. That team could get to the second weekend. They got to get in first.
Missouri's my wild card team. About a week or two ago, it was Texas. But with Lacina Traore getting injured, I feel like that injury has been kind of downplayed as a whole. They rely so much on getting the opposition front court in foul trouble that without Traore, kind of in behind, Nick Cody isn't drawing fouls like Traore was. So instead of bringing Voki Titus back in where that opposing big's on 4 and Matas, you just got to draw one more to get that opposing center out. Now you're bringing Matas back in. The opposing big only has 2 fouls and you're getting the best interior defender the whole game. Whereas in December and January, they were just taking guys out. I think Missouri is my wild card team. Missouri is my team that, yes, they've got the positional size and they've got the toughness to make a run, but they also have the hair pulling. Why are we making these plays?
Right.
Type of situations where you could see them, turn the ball over too much and lose to, a Kentucky in their first SEC tournament game.
Yeah, I love that. The 2 others I circled were a team that they could play on that Thursday you referenced, Georgia and Texas.
Yeah.
And because some of it with Georgia is just I think Georgia, I'm trying to be careful if I say this and then later I reserve the right to decide I'm wrong. Georgia might be the most matchup run contingent team in the SEC because I think if somebody's big and Santo plays so hard, he does.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. If he's not on the floor, they're just not nearly as good.
Right.
The on-off splits at CBAB analytics are the ones I use, but they're just wildly different. And so Texas isn't a terrible matchup for them for the reasons you mentioned. That game's going to be super fun. Just a ton of playmaking guards.
Yep.
But this isn't just Nashville. This is the NCAA tournament too. I mean, then Georgia, Alabama, we already saw Georgia can play with Alabama, right? Because Alabama's, they're we're in the same boat. Our guards are a little better than yours, but we're Aiden, Sherelle, ride or die.
Yeah.
It wouldn't stun me if the finalists of the SEC tournament came out of that Thursday, Georgia Tech.
100%. Are you buying Georgia's offensive explosion here down the stretch? Because you're no stranger to offensive explosions here, as Florida over the second half of the year has been incredible. But since this run that Georgia's gone on, the February 17th game against Kentucky, that was 6 games ago. Over those 6 games, they're the number 1 3-point shooting team in the nation. Over that 6-game span, if you filter from mid-February on, Georgia's number 1 in the nation in 3-point shooting percentage. That's insane.
It's some of it is shot diet. Now with Smurf in the starting lineup, they get paint drives almost every possession. And I think when they get paint drives and kicks, those are just better 3-point shots.
Yeah.
Some of it is they're shooting above their pay grade. But to your point, I mean, I also think a little bit like Florida, I didn't think that those numbers really reflected the roster they built. I always thought they'd be closer to 34. And you guys know, I always thought Florida would be closer to 33 or 34.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of this law of averages stuff has kind of bared itself out. But I don't think they're as good as they're shooting, but the one thing Mike White said, and he said it like in October and kind of reiterated it to the press in January, was like, we don't turn the ball over. So we're going to have a lot of possessions where we get a shot up. And, when we make them, we're going to be pretty darn good. Here we are.
Yeah, that bottom half of the bracket is really just like, all right, who wants to get hot at the right time? We're not playing defense down there. I mean, Alabama, Arkansas was double OT 2-point game.
Are you excited as I am for John Calipari to be like, to either he'll vacillate between we don't care about this tournament and like we should be a protected seed.
Yeah.
Like I think it's going to be theater. I think it's going to be absolute theater from Cal.
The way this sets up is there's a lot of good storylines because you could potentially get the Arkansas Alabama double OT rematch where it's just who wants to score 120 first, and then right above it you have Tennessee Vanderbilt with the Jalen Carey drama. The teams absolutely hate each other, and then at the top, Florida's lost to Missouri and Kentucky's played them very well. We could be setting up for those quarterfinals to just be all four of them be like really good storyline packed games.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Florida in a third game in 3 days is a lot to ask, but it's March. Weird stuff happens. Todd Golden, SEC. Well, 2 more questions. Todd Golden, the SEC Coach of the Year now by the media and the coaches. I thought this was a no-brainer. I had some people kind of saying that they thought it was lazy, and I thought, man, I don't know about that. Like he lost all 4 guys from one of the best backcourts in the history of the league, and they're in 1 seed position again. Like that's a pretty good coaching job.
I was just talking this morning with Blake on our morning show, and I was like, this team was 5-4 without a ranked win. Like over a month into the season. We're like on week 6 going here. And they're a 1 seed.
Yeah. People were like, you need to sit Xavier Lee.
Yeah.
It failed. And now he's been brilliant for a month. He kind of jokes about it as like unwarranted levels of confidence is kind of his own joke about himself. And I think it rubs off on his guys. Like the other thing about Florida, and you've seen them live, so you can attest to this. And this, I have said this on your show. I've said it on SEC Network. Like, you don't realize how hard Florida plays until you see them in person.
Yeah.
And then it's like Kondo is diving for a loose ball up 18 points.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God, they're relentless.
It's another level of relentlessness. And you don't realize, like, on TV, like, Klavchar's not 6'1", 170. This guy's almost touching 200 pounds. Like, these guys are built. You don't realize it, like if you were to look at like another team, I'll just pull up a random, like a Texas A&M where you have Jakari Lane, Pop Isaacs, Josh Holloway, Rylan Griffin. They're all like 180 or under. You don't get that on Florida.
Hey, Holly, thanks for listening and I appreciate it. And also, thanks for supporting our guy Zell, who we will always love. Yes. Yeah, so let's close with this. I know it's always on. Like I always tell Blake, I like all these guys, so we'll stay away from coaches. But are you worried about somebody? Like I have become my 1B on matchup will dictate everything is Vanderbilt, and like I'm a little worried about Vanderbilt. Like, and the reason isn't that I don't think they can score. I think they run such good offense. They're going to score on everybody. But the defense, you're a big analytics guy, like the defensive drop off the last month. And I'm not sure what's causing it. Like, because it's not like they're getting killed on the glass all the time. I mean, they were used to that. So it seems like other stuff, and it's becoming a problem. And I'm worried about another first round exit, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's It hasn't been good, and I think the blueprint is out on Vandy.
Yeah.
I think Texas kind of blew that door open, and then good responding game against Florida there at home, and then Arkansas blows the doors off again. Since then, you haven't really felt the same, kind of almost aura surrounding Vanderbilt as you did in the non-conference. No Frankie Collins, just changes a little bit of that defensive perimeter. But when's the last time when Devin McLaughlin, Jalen Washington, and Okereke are all playing at the end of the game, not in foul trouble?
Yeah.
It's like an epidemic for them. That just every single game, one of those three bigs, and I'm calling them bigs, two of them are 6'7", they're in foul trouble just nonstop. And so you look at if you filter Torvik for like February 1st on, they're like bottom 20 in the country in both defensive free throw rate and defensive rebounding. So you combine those two aspects, and it's not going well.
All right. What do you think about, who you got in this tournament? And then give me, I don't know, let's just say, give me your semifinals. I don't need anything beyond that. But who do you think wins? I'm picking Florida until proven wrong. I do think that the quarterfinal against Kentucky will probably be tricky for a half, and my expectation is Kentucky will get very tired.
Yep.
That's kind of my guess. I do think Kentucky will beat Missouri and get the rematch they want, and I think that they will play. They'll actually have a lead. That'll be a new thing. And then I think they'll get tired. So yeah, what's your semifinal?
Yeah, I think it sets up real nice for Florida. You're catching maybe Tennessee a little bit dinged up, a little bit injured with Nate Ament, and then the Vanderbilt matchup. I know they played them close, but like I just illustrated with the front courts, I would take Florida there pretty comfortably on a neutral. And so on the bottom, I kind of think one of Alabama or Arkansas gets upset. I think either a Texas or Georgia gets hot, a A&M or Oklahoma gets hot. Neither Alabama or Arkansas have really shown any sort of defensive consistency. So I think the upset of the tournament will probably be in this bottom half against an Alabama or Arkansas that maybe the shots just aren't falling that game. Maybe it's a Sherrell or Brazil in foul trouble or something like that. So I'll go upset somewhere. Alabama or Arkansas gets upset down there, and I'm just going to go ahead and have the Gators roll right through, do another championship.
I love it. Yeah, my bottom of the bracket is Arkansas through and Alabama not through. So I probably similar in that respect. Max, tell everybody where they can find you. You guys know where to get Max, Southeastern 16. Listen to him and Blake. Seriously, like two of the best in the absolute business. And thanks for giving me half an hour today.
Hey, anytime. Yeah. Southeastern 16, Max Barr, CBB on Twitter. But don't go running to us too much, because you'd be leaving the number one seed in SEC media, the Florida Basketball Hour. Subscribe to their Patreon. It's the best out there.
All right. Max Barr, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks all.